Didgeridoo tuning, is it really possible? I would say it's actually not possible to specifically tune any didgeridoo perfectly. Any solid bore didgeridoo, you could with a slide didge, but the thing is, temperature affects the pitch. If it's cold outside, your didgeridoo will be flat. It'll be lower than the pitch that it normally is. If it's really hot outside, it's going to be higher. I've heard that altitude can affect it, and of course, every player is different. Every player plays at a different speed and a different energy. If a player is a really relaxed player, they're going to play softer. If a player is a really aggressive player, they're going to play higher. So when people say their didgeridoos are this key and this key, including myself, I just make the best estimation as to what that is. But I can only say that it's that pitch for me right now in this environment. So what I do for tuning digits personally is I try it in several different environments and see what the range is. It can bend almost a half of a pitch depending on if it's hot or cold, or if I push it harder or push it softer. With many modern digits, you can, with more aggressive mouthpieces than actually even traditional digits with hard edges, you can manipulate the pitch quite a lot, like bending the pitch down or up, and depending on how hard I'm pushing, I can affect it too. So you have environment, temperature, and you have different players with different styles, and then you have yourself, for yourself, if you're pushing hard or pushing soft. So with tuning digits, I try to, when I'm looking at the tuner, I notice after years of tuning digits, that my brain wants the little tuning thing to be perfect. So I never actually know if it's my lips just, I'm very good at bending pitch because multi-drone training. So I never know if I'm actually just bending it into tuned because like I don't want to like put any more work to tune. Now I do many tests to figure out how far it goes down and how far it can go up, and try to tune it so that it's in the middle if I'm trying to specifically tune one instrument. That way, if it is cold outside, it's kind of sitting in the middle of that range so that I can push it up or pull it down. So for example, this is a drone. If I push harder, so it's kind of cold in here right now. If I were to heat it up, then that would be a naturally higher note. But you can see just from lip pressure on the same drone note, I can play a couple different variances of that pitch. Same is true on the trumpet. So another player might naturally like start at a higher vibration, so their range might be a little higher. And it's just something to be aware of when you're buying didgeridoos, to know that even though something is advertised, including my own instruments, as say it's a perfect A with a perfect B trumpet or whatever it is, it's never 100% accurate description. It is for me right now in this environment and for any other crafter in that environment, but it's not an absolute for sure this didgeridoo is in perfect tune. You'll have many different results. So something to take into account. I know with my recordings and playing with a band and needing didgeridoos that are in tune, as long as I do many tests or just a couple different tests like hot test, cold test, high pressure test, low pressure test on how I'm playing and where I'm playing, then I know kind of the general range where the didge sits, and I can get a pretty accurate tuning. So if you're a crafter yourself, you can implement these tests. I like to just make people aware that tuning isn't actually completely possible. That's why in brass instruments, they have tuning slides. So if it's cold outside or hot outside, they can move the tuning slide and have the whole instrument be in tune again by moving this slide. If we had a small slide on digits, we could maybe adjust the tuning when it's hot or cold or specific to the player. So hopefully that helps in any didgeridoo buying decisions if you're wondering what specific pitch you're looking for. The last thing is about playing with other musicians or playing in a band. It's actually sometimes nice to have your didge be slightly sharp or slightly flat, because if you make the didge, or just play it slightly sharp or slightly flat, but if you make it too perfect, sometimes if you're perfecting the sound too much, just like playing out of like a PVC pipe that sounds too clean sometimes, it doesn't really stick out in the band situation like you might want it to. So you could want the didge to be in perfect tune with your band or something, but it's also nice having didges that aren't in tune, but are close enough to still work and maybe be pushed in and out of tune so that you can really still have that wild didgeridoo sound that we love to have in our music, but you're not being perfect. Doesn't always need to be perfect. You can push it in and out as long as it depends on the key, but some slightly out of pitch didges can still really work in Western music or whatever other music you're playing with.